point, but I cannot resist repeating an old story that I often use. If you had the fortune of misfortune to travel around Europe, maybe you noticed how, in what different way, now comes the dangerous point, toilets are structured in Europe. You have the French toilets where the hole where excrement disappears is in the back. So the idea is it drops, falls directly into it, it goes away as soon as possible. Then you have English or yours, Anglo-Saxon, where it floats in water. Then you have the German one, which is the most obscene, of course, which is that the hole is in front, and you have just a little bit of water in the hole, so that most of the bowl is a kind of a plateau. The idea is your excrement falls there to enable, it's an old disgusting German tradition that every morning you should inspect your bowl, sniff it, and so on to see, look for any traces of illness. If you don't believe me, go and look. It's quite a cultural shock. Now, I asked myself, why this? What's the point? I read books. There are 2 books on the market, so you can check it, on architect, very obscene books, you have scientific studies, in what angle shit falls down, and they don't give an account of this. They simply, every book that I know or text plays this simple utilitarian cards. Oh, how is that the other guys don't see that ours is the most utilitarian, the most practical? But then it strikes me. Of course, things are more complex in reality. But basically, I claim this is the only account that I can imagine. Do you know that, if you know a little bit of the history of European thought, around the time of Hegel, it was popular to claim that, to assert the notion of so-called European Trinity, the idea being that Europe as a spiritual entity is structured around 3 poles. Each of them stands for a certain nation, for a certain political attitude, or attitude towards life, and for a certain level of social life. Germans are politically conservative. The level of life is poetry, thinking, contemplation. French, politics, level of life, domain of life, politically leftist revolutionary. English, economy as a sphere of life, and moderate liberalism as... then it did strike me, but that's it. The French approach this radical politics. It falls in, liquidated, disappear. It's like guillotine, no? Like it should disappear. Anglo-Saxon, pragmatic. Let it flow there. We will solve the problem. Germans, of course, poetry and contemplation. You contemplate, you look at... Now, crazy as this may sound, but believe me or not, in a way it is true. Let us say, that's my point, serious point that I want to make. Are you aware how... It's easy to say, oh, no ideology and so on. My God, you go to the toilet and you sit on ideology, how should I put it? That is to say, even the lowest of the lowest vulgar everyday object cannot be accounted for in direct utilitarian terms. It is structured like this because it's the most appropriate, but embodies certain very fundamental attitudes towards what is one of the big problems of life. What to do with this embarrassing excrement that comes out of our body. And this is not a secondary point. Every good anthropologist will tell you that one of the signs that you are dealing with humans, no longer with apes or animals, is that you have this embarrassment what to do with shit, basically. No? It must disappear. It's the whole problem of, we are immediately in the deepest metaphysics. I'm quite serious, which is what we as humans, I claim that disgust is a deeply human emotion. And what is disgust? Disgust is not necessarily immediately characterized by its object. It has to do something with the disturbed frontier between inside and outside. Disgust is with something inside, from your inside, you confront it from the outside. Oh, okay, now you can tell me, but shit is disgusting. No, but let's take a more neutral example, which I hope will convince you. You have saliva all the time in your mouth. You swallow it now all the time, no problem, nothing disgusting. Do, or rather don't do it, I can't do it, but try to do a certain extremely elementary example. Take a glass, spit in it, kind of a certain strata, half an inch of your saliva, look, and then try to drink it. You cannot. Well, because it's outside, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. So what I want to say is that you cannot imagine how much this tells us about human